Am I the butthole for telling my parents I hope their decision haunts them in death? My twin and I are the oldest of 5 siblings, all in our 20s. Our parents have always called me the good son, and I've always looked out for my siblings. This includes my twin. My twin is the kind of person who can't hold a job, but it's never his fault despite constantly calling out and faking illness. He always takes but never gives back, you get the picture. But we always just brushed it off as he's family. I, however, stopped with the enabling behavior. Recently, I was discussing my parents' wills with them. My twin and I don't make that much, but we get by. Our other siblings make okay to decent money. My parents told me that they intended to leave the house and a good amount of money to my twin. The rest of us would get equal amounts of everything else. I asked them why they would give so much to the kid who has done nothing but leech off them and never helped when they needed it, despite talking about how he would any other day, but conveniently not the day they asked him. They shrugged it off with, he's our kid and we know you can't carry him forever with how he's acting, so we might as well give him a safety net. I tried to protest, saying that their final gesture was basically further enabling him. I myself have stopped defending this guy. He is barely hanging by a thread and he needs to learn how to make it on his own. I think this information would just make him smug and complacent. But my parents won't see it my way. I blew up at them, saying that they better hope this decision doesn't haunt them in death. Especially because my sister just finished her chemo and is still paying off her medical debt. The amount she and the rest of us are being left would cover some of it, but still leave a bit for her to pay off herself. If anyone deserved to have a house and that much money, it's her. My parents later told my other brother their side of what happened, and he thinks that although twin sucks, it's ultimately mom and dad's money and house, so it's their choice. I think my frustration at the situation is justified, but I probably should have calmly explained it to my parents. Am I the butthole for that outburst? I think your parents are pretty awful for worrying more about the financial stability of a healthy moocher than they are about a child struggling to beat cancer. It is their money and they can do anything they want with it, but they look/sound horrible. As long as you are arguing that your sister should get more, due to her vulnerability, and not to increase your own inheritance, not the butthole, maybe you and your other siblings can donate your portions, or part of your portions, to her in order to help? If/when the time comes. Look at it this way. Parents acting like a social care system. No one would expect the state to treat everyone equally, but for some reason when it comes to wills, people lose their community spirit and want a decent cut regardless of their circumstances. That's true. His parents mistreat the good kids and bend over backwards for those who refuse to help themselves, thus effing everyone over, especially those who do try to help themselves, like the sister. About as accurate an analogy as there has ever been. Op is not the butthole, frankly. Op, you should go no contact. They won't take you seriously, and the only way to get through to them is to cut contact. Yeah, that's really not how social services work. No, you see, everyone who benefits from the government is a greedy moocher, and the government basically bends over backwards to fulfill their every goddamn wish. You have no idea how much caviar people on assistance get to eat. You want to know where all that caviar comes from? From the good people, the ones who work. The evil government hates them with a passion, and so it takes their good people money and gives it to the really bad lazy ones. And no one benefits from this whatsoever apart from the really bad lazy moochers. And now no one mentioned the huge amount of billionaires robbing everyone so we can uphold this really dumb narrative somehow. Laughing my butt off. I'm not sure if many people will get your sarcasm. There might be some people out there who are essentially gone so far beyond the point of return, they might not get the sarcasm in my comment, but I have some heavy doubts there's many of them. I laid it on so goddamn thick, it's basically hitting anyone reading it in the face. There is a very good reason why there is a sarcasm symbol for text, /s, and it's because of Poe's law. There is times and places for this, I agree, but if now no one mentioned the huge amount of billionaires robbing everyone so we can uphold this really dumb narrative somehow, laughing my butt off doesn't tell you I was sarcastic as F in the previous paragraph, then no amount of crap will, either. That last part wasn't sarcasm and pretty clearly gives away my opinion on the previously used narrative. That last part essentially functions as the crap. Please remember there are also people here who aren't neurotypical and have grave difficulty picking up on sarcasm at all, without the crap. The only thing that made me even consider that it is sarcasm was the caviar remark. Everything else I've seen 1,000 times on Twitter, including things similar to the caviar, but that at least made me look twice. Please don't listen to a random Redditor who sounds like a kid with zero life experience and go no contact. You're not the butthole, but adults communicate when there are problems. I went no contact with my parents after they stole money from my bank account while I was in boot camp. There are plenty of reasons to go no contact with someone, and it isn't childish in the least. Bowing and catering to the whims of toxic family just because they are is sick and disturbing. Here's one reason why original poster should go no contact. What happens if the sis goes into remission and she doesn't have any money to pay for it? And the chemo gets so bad she can't work? Knowing that a sibling of mine got a crap ton of money in a house from the rents who hasn't done a single thing to deserve it would basically destroy any reason I would have to ever talk to the family again, besides original poster of course, who is advocating in sis's favor for who is more in need. This is over money. I don't think he should go no contact or harbor resentment over money. I get his frustration. But ultimately they earned that money. And it is not anyone's choice but theirs. Clearly they are worried the guy will end up homeless. And that is definitely a parent's worst nightmare. And especially since original poster is no longer enabling them likely realize if he is in trouble, he will have no one to help. So they are trying their best as parents to make sure their child is not homeless. Right or wrong? Not speaking to them over this is indeed wrong. Blaming a parent for worrying about their child is wrong. Those giving the undeserving kid the money sucks. But they are parents. They know the other kids will be fine. It's a tough call. It sucks for everyone. He's still going to end up homeless. Does he sound like someone who knows how to budget? He'll piss away the money, forget to pay taxes and utilities etc., and that will be that. This take is just awful. There are plenty of ways to ensure that the struggling brother is taken care of without giving the finger to his siblings. Setting aside a bit more for the brother and putting it into a trust is one thing. Giving him the entire house and the lion's share of the estate is telling the other siblings to go F themselves. It would be noble of original poster and his siblings to help her, but the parents should be the ones doing it. They chose to have kids, not op, and although no one would choose to have a kid with cancer, that is the hand they were dealt. I can't imagine looking at my sick kid and saying, yeah, that sucks, but your brother is lazy so I'm going to help him instead of you. Like WTF. What happens in these situations is that the moocher will burn through the money at a rapid rate and squander it. There will be no safety net for them and the other kids will be hurt too. After the moocher squanders the money, they will start hitting up the other kids for money because they expect family to support them. After all, mom and dad supported them. So all this really does is waste money and hurt the good kids deeply. It's the worst possible solution. Not the butthole. I personally hate when parents play favorites in wills. It sets up terrible relationships after the last parent passes. I hope they reconsider. Yes, especially when it involves rewarding the slacker offspring. Not the butthole. Too accurate. I hate when the slacker offspring gets more than the rest because they're already leeching. Unamused face. Literally my mom. I have 4 brothers, one is exactly like the twin. I love him to death, but he has a plethora of issues and my mom just feeds into it. He's been abusive, manipulative. Sociopath to a T. She bends over backwards for him despite all the stress he puts on her. She has shelled out thousands to an ungrateful kid. I ask for $100 because I'm short on rent after going 20-something years of never asking for money. Maybe once for $50 I paid back 2 days later. And I get an hour-long lecture and recommendations to sign up for welfare. I've told her so many times that he will never learn to do better when he knows she will always bail him out. She thinks he just needs a little help, a little boost, but it's been 13 years. She thinks she's helping, but she's ensuring he will be entirely effed when she is gone. Hindering instead of helping. I once finally got her to try the tough love and she was a wreck before she finally broke and gave in. You have to let them hit rock bottom and claw their way out if you really want to help them. Because parents won't always be there and they will be clueless when the time comes. Lamau, this is the reason why I moved out. My mom does this with my younger siblings. I've hated that they started parenting them way too different than what they did to me. Became too lenient with schoolwork, discipline, and finances. Now my mom is complaining to me how much of a pain my brothers are. And yet she immediately goes back to doing stupid crap for my brothers. Oof. It's bad enough when one sibling gets pampered and babied, but when the parent turns around and is super strict on the functional siblings, it's 1,000 times worse. I really wonder, are they blind? Are their heart are blinded? By what? I guess they just keep pouring effort into the kid in the hopes that one day it'll just work out. My parents did everything for my brother. He got to go to camp and play sports because he needed the push, and I basically got nothing even though I begged for it. Now they have a 43-year-old dependent and I'm off on my own. I think of it as being in extreme denial. Here's a child, who you birthed from your blood and flesh, and raised him and protected him from the world for years, but for some effing reason he suddenly turns into a leech. I don't think I'll be able to handle that realization emotionally if that ever happened with me. I'll either disown the child or kick him out of the house. Who knows, maybe being homeless will teach him. Sunk cost fallacy. If I admit defeat, I failed as a parent. A family friend's mother left everything to their daughter and about $10,000 to their son. It was meant as a gift, as the daughter did everything for her mother, basically alive and nurse at one point. After she passed, the siblings don't speak. He's too angry at her and the mother, despite it being the mom's decision and the daughter really needing the money financially. NTA, but I would be fighting for the money for your sister. It depends to what extent and the circumstances. In Op's case, his parents are irrefutably buttholes and enablers of the biggest butthole. But if a kid has been given their portion over their entire life, it is fair to give them significantly less in the final will. Basically, if the twin was left with nothing, that would be both fair and appropriate. It will only wreck the relationships that aren't worth keeping. My friend's sister asked for a very large loan from parents. Used it as money down to buy a mansion to flip. They said that much is coming out of her inheritance if the years of gifts don't add up to it. Seems fair to me. She lied why she wanted the money and the house is not working out. My grandparents gave all 5 kids a certain amount, and then the other 4 a bit more, with an explanation how the one missing out, who was by then completely estranged except when he needed money, had lots of support and money loaned to him over his life already. Which I thought was a decent enough way to do things. NTA. Ultimately it is their call, but if they favor one sibling over others, then they can't just expect to be treated as first-class parents by their second-class children. This is a perfect summing up of the situation. Not the butthole original poster. Yup. Be nice to them and still talk, but if and when the proverbial hits the fan in the lives, probably in old age, just say sorry, busy/financially unable to help. Suggest you ask your favorite, whatever his name is, son for help. You said that so well. Legit. True, however, while it is their call, they were being the Oz here. They have a daughter recovering from cancer, yet they give their money and house to a healthy, leeching older son. Not the butthole, but remember this conversation when they need help in their old day. Really good point. I just hope the inheritance stuff doesn't extend to how they currently treat the daughter fighting cancer. It will. Because they made it clear that they have a favorite one. Yeah, maybe. But maybe also they're thinking that the other kids will be okay because they're self-sufficient. This is the one that will be the most likely to crash and burn. I'm not saying I agree with the decision, but that may be their thinking. I don't know, I'm glad I just have one kid. No plans to have any more. Maybe her sister is married? I am honestly astounded at their cruelty. The only possible explanation for their logic is if they think her sister's husband and his family will be able to help them out? Enabling parents are the absolute worst. My mother is the same way with my sister. She knows exactly which strings of guilt to pluck so my mother to play right into her hands. Op's parents' decision will ensure the family is torn apart after they pass. I don't understand the logic. You're giving money away to someone you know doesn't know how to use it wisely, so he will most likely lose the family home and be completely broke within a couple of years. The other siblings will resent him so thoroughly it's likely they will never speak to him again. Plus, the first emotions your children will feel when they think about you after you're gone is anger, resentment, and betrayal. And for what? So their leech of a son can live extravagantly for a couple of years while their other children suffer? Why don't they pay for financial literacy classes now while they're still alive and give everyone an equal portion? I believe it's the hope of all parents that their passing will bring their children even closer together and cement the familial bonds of love and remembering the life they shared. Instead, the brother will end up poor anyways, and unless he willingly divides the inheritance equally, he'll be exiled from the family. Yes. Point out that the mooch is the main beneficiary of their will, and that he'll take care of them in old age. They'll quickly see how useless he is when it's their ass that is getting shipped to the cheapest nursing home. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.